Thank the chairman, and I thank the chairman for moving this important legislation forward. FAA reauthorization is critical and time-sensitive. Contains many elements over which both parties agree on solutions to ongoing issues with the control of the Federal Aviation Administration and programs under its jurisdiction. We had 23 short-term extensions prior to 2012. We cannot afford that disruption again. And I think the good news is that most of the bill is agreed to. Unfortunately, there are a few very critical issues that have divided us. Privatization of air traffic control, preemption of state laws regarding the trucking industry, and the safe transport of lithium batteries. I'm not going to reiterate all the issues that came up yesterday during the hearing that raised questions about the privatization of the FAA, nor all of the issues raised in the GAO report released yesterday about problems with the potential privatization of the FAA. We will engage in perhaps more in that debate later. But I think there's a simple and bipartisan way to solve what we agree are longstanding problems at the FAA: procurement, personnel, and stability of funding. The approach being offered instead, we've spent years saying to the FAA, break down those stovepipes, communicate better. We had problems. We didn't get ERAM done until we made the engineers and those who are in charge of the technology acquisition actually talk to the traffic controllers. God forbid they should do that. They're in different departments. We broke down those walls. Now we are going to create an impenetrable wall between those who certify all of the approaches and certify the equipment and those who oversee safety and the agency itself. Now some say, oh, well, that's what ICAO wants. You have to separate. No, if you actually read a little further, it says, if there are potential for conflicts or problems. We have, and everybody agreed yesterday, the safest system in the world, and it is an integrated system. There is no reason to split off safety. How can you get safer than the safest system in the world? I don't think so. 1991 was the last air traffic control fatal accident in the United States of America. Heck of a lot more recent in that wonderfully privatized European system. Anybody remember that? That's quite recent. So let's not pretend that this isn't fraught with potential problems. Our system's the biggest, by far. It's the busiest, by far. Our general aviation is more than twice as large in the next 4 countries. Now, I think that this is a solution in search of 1,000 problems. And the amendment I offer today will, in a targeted way, take care of those discrete problems that we agree on. There are other things in the bill over which there is substantial agreement that are important. Oversight of the 800 repair stations outside the United States. It's woefully inadequate, and more D checks and heavy maintenance are being done overseas, and that needs to be overseen by the FAA, and it hasn't been adequately overseen. There's been report after report, and I've been pursuing that issue for many years. So this will finally deal with that. The bill does not tamper with the flight hours required to be in control of a commercial aircraft, which took us many years to do and only happened after the horrible tragedy of Colgan. There are some who would roll back the clock, go back to the good old days when it took twice as many hours to be a hairdresser in the state of Oregon as to be a captain on a commercial airliner. We saw the fatal results of that. The bill does fall short on safety. Lithium batteries are a disaster waiting to happen, and in the last FAA bill, an amendment was adopted that enshrined the tombstone mentality. It said, instead of leading the world, as the FAA has done for decades, we will be bound to the sometimes pathetic ICAO organization and its rulemaking regarding threats to safety. We have led them forever. Now the law says the FAA and PHMSA cannot regulate lithium batteries unless and until there's a proven fatal accident. Well, that's great. ICAO's safety committee has said ICAO should act. ICAO hasn't. The manufacturers have said we can't repress lithium battery fires on our aircraft, but we still have that tombstone law, and in fact, they're going to double down on it in this bill. That's unacceptable, and we'll be offering an amendment to deal with that. Certification, those reforms are critical, and again, they could be delayed. The drone rules are long overdue for unmanned aviation systems. The FAA has been very, very slow to get out those rules. We're losing our place as a leader in the world. This bill will begin to rectify that. It's not everything we should do, and there's also a safety side to drone, where I believe the bill does not go quite far enough. And then finally, I've just got to mention, what is a section preempting the wage and hour laws of 21 sovereign states of the United States regarding trucking doing in an FAA bill? Oh, well, the court decision in California was triggered because of a provision in an FAA bill 25 years ago. Well, A, it's a bad court decision, and B, that is no excuse to put this incredibly controversial provision, which was not accepted during the consideration of the Surface Bill, which was quite recently, into this bill and jeopardize its passage. So we will again be attempting to remove that section of the bill. But again, I appreciate the chairman working together on the many, many other things which I haven't had an opportunity to list where we do agree. But we're going to go through a legislative process today, and let's see where we end up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.